Tonight Hey everybody, welcome to a kickoff week edition of the Peel. Um, wow, I'm can't believe the week's finally here. I know I'm excited, even though I'm not going to be at the match. Uh, I know Josh is excited. Josh might be tuning in a little later. He was stuck at work a little late, but we are joined by Edson and Derek Stowers of Dynamo Theory.
Oh yeah, looking forward to another. Glad that last season is done with, and ready to look forward to a brighter 2020.
Yes. But before we dive too deep into today's show, be sure to go ahead and give this video a like. Go ahead and like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Peel05. Tips are also available for the show. It helps us out. I got some new swag. I got a Peel polo for when I go out to the matches. I'm currently working on koozies, courtesy of my wife. So those should be ready here soon. Things like that are going to help us going forward by trying to help get our show out there a little bit. Today's show is also brought to you by / sponsored by Matt Floor Photography. So head over to his Instagram page or his Facebook page, take a look at some of his work. He does really good sports photos. He does a ton of U of H games. It's almost at every single Dynamo match. So check out his stuff. He's also available for other stuff as well. But yeah, so the week that was the last week of preseason, there was a really good game and then a really bad game. I know Derek posted 2 articles about those matches. We'll get into that. We've got a little bit of the outlook through Derek's eyes for the Dynamo. And then we're going to do a little exercise about where the Dynamo should fall in the West, given the other teams that are in the West. And then back at it like we normally are, we will go ahead and preview the LA Galaxy match and then close up with some CCL stuff as well. But Derek, go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everybody where they can find you.
Hey, so you can find things that I write on Dynamo Theory. You can find me on Twitter at Stowers14. Yeah, the preseason we finished not as good as we would have wanted. We finished with a total record of 3-1-1 at unbeaten era under Ted Ramos. We were almost there, but
yeah,
that last game was sure polarizing with the game that happened earlier in that week.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was completely different. I mean, you go from blowing out RSL to getting blown out by Columbus Crew, which, excuse me, I honestly think the Crew might be a sleeper team in the East. I think they're going to be a pain in the side of a lot of teams over there this year.
Yeah, I agree. And, part of that, though, as well, a number of players had played in a game earlier that day. They played the Oklahoma City Energy in kind of a back-to-back. So players like Alejandro Fuenmayor, who, to put it bluntly, did not have a great game against the Crew. Tired legs is an easy thing that you can account that for.
Yeah, and I do want to dive into that a little bit because in the first preseason match out in Tucson, it was apparent that our center backs right now are going to need help. They look like they're going to end up being the weakness on this team. What do you make of Fuenmayor and Maynard Figueroa and how, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say unserviceable because they're serviceable center backs. They're not, I guess, your star center backs. What needs to change, and what do you look for those guys going forward? I mean, we're 4 days out from the season now.
Yeah.
What should be the plan going forward with these two?
I think just to start, consistency, lineup consistency, in order to develop chemistry. It looks like Keith Strina trained after missing some time because of an injury. Keith Strina and Figueroa are regular go-tos for the center back spot under Cabrera, and it looks like those two will hold it down unless Mayor can break through. Now, during the preseason, I actually thought up until the Crew game that Mayor had looked a lot better. And some of that also has to do with the play of the keeper behind him, Marco Matic, who I think is going to be a key piece to us and how we implement this Tab Ramos style. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just consistency. I mean, is Boniek going to be the starter next to Matias Vera? And how can you get defensive support from your wingers? Those are going to be really key for whether it's I think he's 36-year-old Manuel Figueroa, and either Kiki Struna or the young developing Mayor.
I mean, I guess what's scary, and Edson had brought this up on last week's show, is teams are going to figure us out real quick, and Columbus did in the first half, and that's getting caught on the long ball on the counter. How does the team fix this, in the next few days?
Right. So there's a number of ways that you can attack the long ball. You've got to make sure that your players across your back are communicating well, so that if, let's say, if it's either Adam Lucas or if it's Jose Kadama or Derek Valentin, if one of those guys is pushed up, they need to have that recognition that on the other side, everybody needs to shift in order to cover. The other way to really defend against it is to make sure that those long passes are not accurate. You do that by pressing. So the pressing, you can't allow those long balls to be well weighted, and the players that are sending them have all the time to just put it right into space where they want.
Yeah. Try to think.
I think one of the comments that Derek made right now is about Mayor. He says developing. How long has he been with the team, and he's still quote unquote developing? Sorry, Derek, but I think it's ridiculous that he's still like trying to figure out what he's trying to be when he's already been here long enough with the team to kind of get an idea of what they expect out of him. And if he's going to continue to be inconsistent this season, then when what we thought was going to be his breakout year, it's just going to be more of the same. That's my personal opinion.
No, those are good points. And I think inconsistent is a good word to describe him. The other thing I would say is, other than getting into the system, the number of individual errors and kind of dumb things that we've seen from him has got to be reduced, and that takes discipline. And will that develop, or has it? To be fair to him, I thought that he has looked better. He's actually looked like a better distributor under Tab Ramos compared to Wilmer Cabrera. But to be fair as well, I still think that center back is in a position that we do need to improve. It's hard to say how you want him to either grow or not grow. I mean, it's tough for him because he's not consistently seeing minutes, so he's not having that time apart from training. But as a manager, you do have to draw a line somewhere. But then again, we are kind of thin at center back after him. And so if not him, who, right?
Yeah.
It just seems to
ahead,
me that he is technically the third in line behind Struna and Figueroa, and we know that Figueroa is not going to be the consistent starter because of his age, and Kyle Adams is just came up from the USL team. And Eric McHugh is probably going to be playing a lot more minutes down at RGV rather than with the first team. So Alejandro Fuenmayor has to step up, right now. And yes, you might say these are friendly matches, but I've always been told, even if it's in practice, you still gotta play like if it was an actual match where you're going for the 3 points. And technically you were going for 3 points in this preseason tournament. So, he's got to step up, and I don't think that Tab Ramos is going to deal with that kind of inconsistency, or at worst, the undisciplined factor of Alejandro Fuenmayor.
Yeah, just to get one last thing in on Fuenmayor, like we've already acknowledged inconsistencies for one reason or another. I think with the new head coach in Tab Ramos, he's given a new opportunity, and I think he has taken advantage of it. I'm going to say that it was a really poor performance against Peru, but I will say give him a bit of a pass because he did play against the Oklahoma Energy earlier that day. But this is his chance. He's not going to get a bigger chance to break out into this league under Ramos. And Ramos is the guy that if Fuenmayor is given a pass, or I should say doesn't take advantage of his chances with resting Figueroa or anything like that, Tab is the kind of manager that will go to somebody younger that's proving it in practice if Fuenmayor is not living it during the games. He's got to take advantage. He's not going to get a better chance than it is now. I think he is doing it. We'll see how that translates to the regular season.
So to move on from Fuenmayor and his inconsistencies, because we it's been well documented. What were the things that stood out and things that, other than the center backs, that we should definitely keep an eye out for going into the regular season?
Yeah, it's super. I don't know. There's so many moving things that happened this offseason, and we did not get to see a lot of it during the preseason. We only got a brief cameo by Darwin Quintero. We did not get to see him paired up with Albert Elise. So there's a lot of questions going into this, but we are seeing some of the performances by, in particular, Tomas Martinez had a very good preseason, and his ability to direct traffic and actually see the players moving rather than kind of the one-dimensional offense of just kick it over the top and let Elise or Minutos turn onto it. We're seeing more movement, which is important, and especially movement off the ball. So Martinez directing traffic and getting players to make those runs has been really key. But the other thing that I've noticed and will be really interesting to watch going forward is, and you don't really think about it that much, but Marko Matic, his ability to distribute out of the back, I think it's going to be particularly fun to see. It's a more modern style that we see, like a lot of like Allison at Liverpool and keepers like that can really make an impact and just distributing from deep. So those are kind of things that I'm looking for. I'm really curious to see what Elise and Quintero, once they're healthy and in the lineup, how this is all going to work. Because there's a lot of pieces that can move around. So how are they going to line up? Are they going to move around during games? Because Elise and Quintero can play on either side. Martinez can play on the wing, as we saw last season. And Quintero could be that guy that moves into the middle, which might hide his defensive vulnerabilities, let's just say. So I kind of like the idea of a lot of moving parts and just a more complex and an offense that has more dimension. So hopefully that offense will make up for any defensive qualities that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So moving on from just the preseason to the season. You've already essentially stated, what you're looking forward to this season. How do you think the Dynamo as a whole fare going into 2020 stacked up against the rest of the West? And that will lead us into what I'm going to call our exercise after this.
Okay. We've got great. We know what we can get out of Martinez and Albert Elise. The big questions are we going to keep them, and are we going to support them if we do? Because we did see a production drop off this season with Martinez, but we know he is a top level MLS striker. So we could, if we support him, then we could easily see Martinez potentially, right? This is all things going the Dynamo's way. We could see Martinez challenging for the Golden Boot. If Albert Elise is healthy and contributing, we could see a kind of MVP type season that we were talking about after his really good start last season. It'll be interesting to see, because I think that the Dynamo, as constructed, are poised to have a shot at the playoffs. I would not say that by any stretch that we're considered favorites. So I wouldn't make that claim, and I'm an optimist. But I need to see more. I need to see how Quintero fully integrates, and do we keep him on the wing, or do we hide him as a playmaker from the middle, and then what does that do to Tomas Martinez? But we definitely have playoff potential. I think it would be unfair to immediately write this team off. But that being said, there are just so many good teams in Major League Soccer, especially in the West. So I think that we're capable of making some upsets. I wouldn't want to face an offense like the Dynamos anytime, because if you can score goals, you can win games. But how does that translate to a run at the MLS Cup? I don't know. Right?
I mean, we've seen it though with the Dynamo is, and the way MLS is changing, they are an amazing team at home, and I see more of the same this year. I see them being extremely hard to beat at home, especially with the attack that we have up top. But road results have always fallen short for the club. So do you see Tab being who he is? Do you see him adding emphasis and being able to change this mentality that the Dynamo have seen like they've had over the last couple of years, where road results really don't matter, and if you win at home, you'll make the playoffs? Because it's not the case anymore. You have to have good road results in order to make playoffs.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, and being a good team, I've said this, I think, a couple of years ago when the Peel was first going. But good teams have the ability to turn draws into wins and losses into draws, and bad teams don't have that ability. And you can add another element, whether that's at home or on the road. But like, great teams can do that on the road. We haven't seen this team proper on the road versus at home, but that is a question that needs to be addressed with tab, because that has been a problem for Houston Dynamo teams since they got here. And I personally, I'd love to see it. Ramos definitely brings a different type of mentality, being a international head coach. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but if results start not going our way at home, or I should say on the road, it's definitely a question we've got to ask and see how he's going to address it.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start a little early. So I was talking to Josh and Edson, and it was one of these things I wanted to bounce off other people's head. Is, you know, the West is going to be tough this year. You have LAFC, who, let's face it, they're the favorites in the West. You have LA Galaxy, who had Chicharito, Minnesota, who apparently found a way to win and sneak into the playoffs last year, and then you have the same story Seattle Sounders, where they'll make a deep run late in the season, teams like that. So I'm gonna go through each team and kind of gauge: are the Dynamo better? Are they worse? Are they the same? And can we finish ahead of them in the standings? It's not going to be anything super crazy. We don't have to get into too deep the detail. But there are 13 spots open. So I'm curious to see exactly where people think that these teams are going to finish. And I actually meant to write this down. I'm falling behind here. So with that being said, Colorado Rapids, not a lot of player movement. I really don't know what to make of them this season. They're not somebody who gets my heart pumping when I'm like, oh God, we got to play them. So do the Dynamo finish better, worse? What do you see with Colorado and how the Dynamo will fare against them?
I think we finish above them. I like you. I didn't see a lot of movement. Colorado, it's one of those teams that you don't want to ever play on the road, but
no.
I'm honestly not too worried. But they are. I mean, Colorado is it's just funky on the team, so I have to root against it. But I know some good people that cover the Rapids, and I feel for them because they've been in kind of purgatory of not making the playoffs. They're performing well.
They are, personally, they're the New England Revolution of the West, minus a good coach.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. I was actually just reading ESPN has their power rankings, and they actually have them ranked one above us. And I don't. I think that we are a couple places ahead of them.
Actually, I meant to bring that up too. Edson, how do you feel about the Dynamo over the Colorado Rapids this year?
I think they'll probably be about two spots below us.
Okay. So Edson, I'll ask you, if you had to put them on the table this year, where would you have them finishing?
I would say second to the last.
Second to the last. All right. Well, that's that one. Our amazing friends up I-45. I'm joking. I hate them. FC Frisco. Where do you guys see them? They're another team. They're young. They have a big question mark. I am curious to see, though, how they respond this year over last. This is the second year removed from Oscar Pereja, or a year and a half, I guess you could say. So how do you guys see them faring against us? And also, do we bring the cannon back to Houston?
Edson, do you want to start?
I'm going to say they are going to finish...
Non-biased here, Edson.
They're gonna finish above us by 1 point, or it's gonna be close. But I still think that we will bring the cannon back.
Wrong answer, Edson. They finished last. No. I think that we finished one place at the end, and what could be a really tight finish for where I think that we are. But yeah, we get the Cannon.
Cannon comes home. I think everybody, even if the Dynamo miss out in the playoffs, but FC Dallas also misses out, and we bring home the Cannon. I'm pretty sure people will take that as a moral victory, and I think Houston will be okay with that. So, excuse me. I'm gonna say that you guys would think that they'd finish in 8th. If it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. This is actually kind of fun. LA Galaxy. They had Chicharito. Obviously, all the hype is with them. It's the same old story. Let's sign a big name player because we're the LA Galaxy and think we're going to win the league. What happened with Zlatan last year? That's all I'm going to throw out there. ESPN does have them ranked 6th going into the season. I actually don't think they're going to be that good. I actually personally think they're going to be a dumpster fire this year because we've seen it numerous years from the LA Galaxy. Yeah, they got a little better last year over previous, but I don't think they're going to be the team that everybody thinks they're going to end up being.
Wow. I'm not sure I'm as down with them as you are, but I'm not as high on them as everybody else is either. I would probably put them 4th in the West, which a lot of people will probably say they deserve to be higher than that. I could see 5th too. 4th or 5th is probably where I would put them.
I mean, as much as, and it's also because of all the Chicharito talk, I don't like it. I mean, it's great for the league to get eyes on the league, but there's so many other stars in this league that have made a name for themselves, and I think just bringing a player like that, and it was the same thing with the Zlatan effect last year. I don't care. We have plenty of other stars that make this league what it is, and those two guys just don't do it for me. They're just a name, but that's me personally. Edson, how do you feel about the LA Galaxy this year? 5th?
Yeah. I don't think they're going. I don't think they're gonna be burning across the league, like if a lot of people think they are gonna be with Chicharito. But I do think that that'll get them enough to playoffs.
Okay. That takes us to LAFC. I know I've been high on them a lot. I was high on them last year. I've been high on them in the CCL, and I'm actually still high on them in the CCL. I think they do bounce back. I think tomorrow night against Leon. It is going to be in LA, and I see them putting about 4 or 5 goals in. But that's me personally. Edson, how do you feel LAFC going forward? Do you think they are the team to beat in the West?
I think they are. I don't think they're going. I don't think that they're going to replicate what they did last year, as far as like being a consistent roller. But I do think they still are going to finish first place.
First place. Derek?
Yeah, I'd put them probably 1 or 2, depending on Seattle, because Seattle, you never know. I mean, they're always good, but LA, I think, probably even more than Seattle, have a target on their back because they are splashing cash and they've been just so good. So I would probably put them 2 because they've got a target on them, but I would not write them off as first either. So I'm fine with us putting them as 1.
Okay. Minnesota United shocked a lot of. I don't want to say shocked. Well, yeah, they did. After they made it, they made it to the final in the U.S. Open Cup. They made a surprising push towards the end of the season and actually got into the playoffs. What do you think happens? Why? I'm blanking on their coach all of a sudden. Why am I blanking? Minnesota United's head coach.
Adrian Heath.
Adrian Heath. There you go. I don't know why I was blanking on his name. I think Adrian Heath has a lot to prove this year because I remember coming in the league, Minnesota's like, we've got a 3-year plan. We've got it all figured out. Well, guess what? This is year 4 now. You've got to make things happen. or is this year 3? No, this is year 3. Um, I do think they get into the playoffs. I think Mason Toy has a big year for them. Um, Personally, I think I have them finishing 6th, just barely getting past LA Galaxy for that 6th spot. Derek, how do you feel about Minnesota United? Are the Dynamo better or worse than them?
I would say right now, I would think that we're better, but that's me being optimistic. I think that they're right there with us, but I don't think they're going to shock the world and do anything like that. So, what we said, what Dallas is 7 or Houston 7?
You have Houston at 7.
Houston at 7. So
I think you had FCD at 8.
At 8. I don't think that Minnesota's that much worse. So I would put them at, I guess, 1 above us. Yeah, that seems. I do think that we're better. We're going to finish higher. I think I might have the Dynamo at 6 and Minnesota at 7. For the purposes of this, we can flip flop them, I guess.
Yeah. I'll give my take on Houston after we finish the rest of these teams. Edson, how do you feel about Minnesota this year?
They won't make it to playoffs this year.
They won't.
No. I think they'll finish 9th.
9th.
I think that's I think I actually think that's the where they're gonna be.
Okay. That pretty much closes them. Nashville, expansion team. Some interesting moves through expansion and trades after the expansion draft. I actually don't think they're gonna. I have them finishing last, but I actually don't think they're gonna be horrible, and I think they're gonna push to maybe be 12th. I don't think they're gonna be 13th, even though I have them written down as 13th. Actually, you know what? No, I am gonna switch that. I think Colorado finishes last in the West, and I think Nashville will finish 12th. But they're going to be a strong 12th team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree. They've got some good players. I really like Dominic Badji, David Acom, good, Dax, and Joe Willis. But yeah, let's say a strong 12, right?
Yeah. I was trying to see. Oh, that's right. He went to Chicago. No, you know, on paper, they actually have a decent team. I mean, they got David Acom, they've got Badji. You have Jimmy Madranda. I can never say his name, and Godoy too. I mean, the team is stacked by players who have kind of cut their teeth in MLS. They may not be stars per se, but they've been around and they're solid. So I wouldn't totally be surprised if they finish in 8th, to be honest with you. But I do think they're going to be a tough team to beat, even though they're going to finish where I have them finishing. So Portland Timbers, probably I still think one of the toughest atmospheres to go into and play. I still think they're a solid team. Edson, where do you see them finishing this season? Would the Dynamo be able to get past them this year?
I think they can beat them at home. I really don't think they can beat them over there at Providence Park, and I do see Portland making it to the playoffs.
Where would you have them on the table?
I would say, say 4th.
That's exactly where I have them. Derek, what about you?
So I've got them. I personally think we can beat them, and I think we can beat them at home if Minotas is playing, because Minotas loves scoring against Portland Timbers.
Yes, he does.
But you know, I just don't know if the list is so tough. I mean, there's so many good teams, and trying to be. Yeah, I would personally have them fifth.
Okay. RSL. They're another team that I don't know what to make of them. I think honestly, you can flop the last three positions on the table with RSL, Colorado, and Nashville. Then again, they could shock me. I really don't have much on them. Edson, what's your take on RSL this year?
To me, it seems like Nashville is going to be at the bottom of the table. Wait, did I say Nashville or did I say Russell Lake?
You said Nashville.
Yeah, but yes, because you didn't ask me.
Yes.
I remember now because you didn't ask me. So Nashville's gonna be at the bottom of the table, like dead last, and this, and then with Real Salt Lake, I wouldn't put it past them to squeak by playoffs, but I don't see them I don't see them going to the playoffs, but don't be surprised if they squeak by. The reason why I say this is because I think they've got a solid base of players that are ready to come up from Real Monarchs.
Mm-hmm.
So if push,
are you saying 7th, 8th, or 8th?
Because I think I put Dynamo as 8th, right?
Yes.
I would say, do I have anybody one below? At 9th?
Minnesota.
Said Minnesota. I put it below Minnesota. 10th.
Cool. Derek, how do you feel about RSL?
10 is where I got them at. I do not think they will make the playoffs because I think that they've got a solid core, but they don't have anybody to score goals. So I just don't see them really making going the distance and getting there. So 10.
That takes us to our next team, San Jose Earthquakes. Wondolowski's apparent last year, thank God. You know why? Because I don't even like his name being thrown around in the discussions for the national team. I'm over him. He scored a bunch of goals. That's also because he's played in MLS forever. Derek, I'll throw this back your way. San Jose, where do they finish? What should we look out for?
I do not see them making the playoffs and Wando's last year. I like Wando as a guy, but yeah, I agree. The national team thing, that no, it's no for me.
No,
but
Are you saying 11th or 13th?
11th.
11th. Edson, your turn.
I do see them going into playoffs mostly because I think that Matias Almeida is actually starting to was starting to get a groove at the end of the season. Last season, they didn't manage to make it to the playoffs, but they were kind of close. It took him a while to get used to the new competition, getting used to the players. He had a couple of bad spells in the beginning of his term. But then he started getting really good results. And I think now with him being an actual preseason and one complete season to make the changes that he needed to as far as the players he wants to bring in, I do see them making it to the lower half of playoffs. What do I have available?
I didn't write down half of yours.
Oh, way to go! But I do see them low. I do see them in the lower side of the playoff seats.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say 7th?
I would say 7th
or 6th.
7th.
Okay. I actually had to redo mine. I didn't write down a few. That takes us to Seattle. I'll take this one. Seattle makes the playoffs. They're second in the West, and there's really not much more there for me to say. Seattle's been the same team for the last 4 or 5 years, where they mosey along till after the All-Star break, and then they kick it into high gear, and then before you know, you're like, holy shit, Seattle's in second, and they're vying for the cup. So I have Seattle in second.
Same.
Yeah, second, first or second, and second feels right for the reason that you said. They do kind of that second gear, which is what they use to really propel themselves and potentially get home field advantage or bye for the playoffs. I think that they've taken a step back defensively with some people going, but they're well coached. They've got top tier talent with Rudiers and Ladero and a lot. Yeah, second sounds about right.
Okay. SKC. I'll let you take SKC, Derek.
That rivalry isn't as much a rival unless Rutgers and others play. Tough to say. I think that they will squeak into the playoffs. I'm seeing that a lot of people are really high on them. I'm not as high on them. I think that we are probably about right at their level. So
okay.
who do we have around the Dynamo?
You have the Dynamo at 7th, Minnesota at 6th, Portland at 5. And the way you're sounding, I would probably just bump all them up and flip-flop Houston and SKC. If that's what I'm picking up where you're at.
That works for me.
That sounds about right. Edson?
I don't see them making playoffs, to be honest.
So you have them finishing 11th or 12th?
Probably. I don't think with the inclusion of Alan Pulido, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to make it to the playoffs. I feel like the style of play between Chivas, when he left the Liga MX, being the not all-time goals, but the leading goal scorer last season, and SKC MLS style of play, I think it's going to take a while for him to get used to it. So I don't think he's gonna make as many goals as that'll be enough to push SKC towards the playoffs.
I'm going to put SKC in about 9th. You could probably flip-flop them in 8th. But I feel the opposite about Pulido. I honestly think he's going to score a lot of goals. Not a golden boot runner, but I do see him scoring a lot or being a part of a lot of goals for SKC this year. And I think they're just going to be right on the outside looking in. I don't think they're going to be the horrible team that they were last year. But I can't see SKC not being close or even being talked about into the playoffs. Do they make it? No. But are they in the discussion? Absolutely. Let's see. So that takes us to our final. Vancouver Whitecaps. How do you guys feel about them? Derek, I'll let you go.
I've got them last 13. I haven't seen enough moves from them. I don't really have much on them, but 13.
13. Edson?
I don't see him making it either. I don't like at all. I think Vancouver has been a team where it's going to be characteristically they're not going to be a team that's going to set the league the league on fire or anything. I think it's just the best way to put it is they're just a filler team.
They're a filler team.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. Now, what I will say is, the head coach DeSantos is going to have a lot to prove. Um, they are claiming their big signing is Lucas Cavallini. I think they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be great by any stretch, but I honestly think though that the non-playoff teams, at least on mine, are going to be extremely close. Like I don't think a team is going to finish so far out that they're the laughing stock of the West. I actually think the West is going to be extremely tight this year, minus maybe the first three teams. I think it's going to come down to the final month of the season.
I completely agree. I kind of wrote down as we were doing this, kind of my new rankings of the West, and I sort of have like 5 through 8, and that's what I've got. I know that it'll be different from what I've said. Minnesota, Houston, Dallas, Kansas, and then potentially Colorado, all really compete. So, I mean, a lot of it, like you said, could come down to the last couple of weeks for potentially the last week.
Yeah. But in regards to Houston, I know I dogged the team in the offseason about not making the moves they should have made, lack of spending money where they probably shouldn't have spent it, i.e. scoreboard. But I don't think the Dynamo are going to be horrible by any stretch. I actually think they're going to squeak into the playoffs. Now, granted, are they going to make it deep into playoffs? Probably not, because they're going to be one of those road playoff teams. They're not going to host at home. And we all know, like it was documented on this show, and it's been documented in the past, how bad they are on the road. Mm-hmm. I do think that with Tab, they are going to be a little closer to be able to get road results than in prior years. But I do have them in the playoffs. And I think, look, I mean, you guys know me. I'm pessimistic about this team. Josh is even more pessimistic about this team, especially after this offseason. But I think Josh would almost agree with me that they'd make the playoffs and maybe not make a run, but I could see them totally squeaking in.
Yeah, I think with it, and you said it too, with Tab Ramos, they have as good a shot as they ever have, because I think the way that an international coach coaches, there's not necessarily that home versus away mentality. You're participating in the tournament or friendly, so almost everywhere is foreign territory. So if he can bring kind of just compete in every game the way you would at home or in the same way, that's a needed mentality that could be a huge asset. There's a lot of questions surrounding this team. Like, we didn't get to see preseason flesh out because of the injury to Albert Elise and Darwin Quintero. So how we see those players integrated in a couple of weeks, we'll have a much clearer picture of the problems that this team has, the problems that they have, and have they addressed them. Can they compete on the road, like we were just saying? And are they playoff live? Are they going to be one of these teams that can steal a game on the road, or, dare I say, have home field advantage? Because we don't know. This team, when playing up to their level, I think can compete with anybody. I'm the optimist that way, but we don't always play up to our level. So can that allow them to do it? Will the defense step up and finally not being a hindrance? Those are huge questions that we're going to need to see. And yeah, like I said, a couple of weeks, we'll know. We'll have a better idea.
So the way too early prediction. Derek, who do you have in your MLS final as your MLS final champion?
I think it will be LAFC against Atlanta, and I think Atlanta's going to be.
Huh. That was everybody's final pick for last year.
I'm starting
Edson.
a new trend. Yeah, say what people said last
New
year.
trend. Edson, what about you?
LAFC going up against Atlanta United. I think I agree. I think I'll agree with Derek on this one, but I do think LAFC is going to take it.
New trend.
So I also have LAFC going to the final, but
don't say Philly.
I honestly think no. But Philly is the reason why I'm picking against Atlanta.
Okay.
Philly went into Atlanta towards the end of last year. They beat them at home. Okay. They go face them in the playoffs, and they were 10 minutes away from walking out of Atlanta and beating them. Okay. It could have happened. Atlanta is beatable. They are a beatable team. I honestly feel, because the talk has been surrounding this club for years now, and God, I hope the final's not held there. But I think NYCFC goes to the final. And I think they actually could walk away with it. I think they're going to shock a lot of people, and they came out of nowhere last year too. They were one of those teams where, yeah, everybody knew they were good, but the Union ran away with that with the East for most of that year, or most of the last year. NYC kicked it into high gear towards the end of the season, ultimately beating out the Union for top seed in the East. I actually do think that it comes down to Philadelphia and NYCFC for the Eastern Conference. I know I said Atlanta probably doesn't, or LA doesn't win it, but now that I think about it, it's going to be LA, New York, battle the two biggest cities in the U.S. I think LAFC takes it.
Wow.
I see where you're saying. I just think that Atlanta will find a way. But, you know,
I mean, in reality, look, let's face it, it's probably going to be Atlanta. MLS wants the LA-Atlanta final. I mean, could you imagine the eyes around the world that would be on this MLS final?
I think MLS would be completely comfortable with an LA New York final too, though.
Yeah. But I do think NYCFC gets to the final. I think it's time for them. They I don't know. I just something about them this year. Even though there wasn't a whole lot made about them, something tells me that they're gonna get to the final. Let's see, what else do we have? We did that. We are this show's gonna run a little late, Derek, if that's okay with you. That exercise took a little bit too long. Real quick, 5338.com does have the Dynamo at a 41% chance to make the playoffs, 2% chance of first round bye, slightly greater than 1% chance of Supporter Shield, and 1% chance of MLS Cup. That does take us to Houston, LA, Saturday. Be there, get tickets. Tickets are available. I don't want it to be a pro Chicharito crowd, even though I know it's going to be. All time, the Dynamo have a 12-14-7 record, 33 matches. The last 6, however, 3-1-2. At home, they are 8-5-3 with a +6 goal difference against the LA. Last match, obviously, was the final match of the season last year. Zlatan scored the first goal, and that was all she wrote. Christian Ramirez in the 54th minute, Elise in the 62nd. Christian Ramirez again in the 83rd minute, and a Memo in the 90th. And that match alone was why I've been high on Christian Ramirez ever since he came here. I think he is going to be the guy. You could throw Elise out there. You could throw Manotas. My eyes are on Christian Ramirez. What do you guys see for this match? What should we be on the lookout for? And did the Dynamo ultimately come home with a win?
Yeah. The Dynamo are traditionally very good in their home openers. I think that this is as good and vulnerable as an opponent. Going back to kind of what you were saying, a lot of people are very high on them. I'm a little higher on them than you, but less than other people. I think we win. I love the Christian Ramirez X factor. it's funny because every time I tweet something about him, he ends up retweeting it or liking it or something.
That's awesome.
But he's such a good center forward. He's so smart. He reads space. He reads the runs of other people. I really liked last season the connection between him and Palmer. I'm looking to see first is Elite healthy, and what's he look like? Is Quintero coming into this as well? How does the defense stack up against a pretty loaded Chicharito and a Chicharito crowd? I wish I hope it's not the case, but I think we do win. I'm going to say 3-1 for us.
That's actually close to what I got. Edson, what are you looking forward to in this game? And same thing as I asked Derek. Do the Dynamo come away with a win against Chicharito FC?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I'm gonna look at is probably gonna be the midfield. I want to see how that change to the 4-3-3 is actually gonna look like on an actual MLS match, and see how well Matias Vera can hold a midfield, by himself when you've got around him a little bit more attacking mindset players. So it'll see. I want to see how well he is going to hold that up. Going up against what's his name, the Pavon, going up against Chicharito. We know that Jonathan Dos Santos is not going to be playing because he just got injured. But I do see them coming away with a 2-1 win.
The Dynamo.
Yes.
Can I just double down on that, because I think that it's something that's incredibly important, and that's how the midfield plays. The midfield, we've seen high press that Tab Ramos has done in the past. So the midfield is super important to one of the questions that you said before about preventing those dangerous long passes. How are they winning those battles and preventing those passes is going to be really key. Is Tomas Martinez going to be somebody that pushes up, or like we saw against Real Salt Lake, he was kind of all over the place. And we did see Matias Vera occasionally push higher up. So those are definitely things to watch, especially against the Galaxy.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Messaging Josh to ask him his prediction.
So I just kind of changing a little subject right here, real quick.
Hold that thought real quick, Edson. Hold that thought. I'm gonna throw mine out there real quick. I actually have mine as 3-2 Dynamo win. I think the Dynamo are gonna have to come in early and score 2 goals early to shut the pro Chicharito crowd up and make this a Houston Dynamo home match. But I think my question mark would probably be those center backs. We've seen them look shaky in preseason. How does Tab change the game plan to not leave them as vulnerable as they had been in preseason? That's my 2 cents. Go ahead, Edson.
I was just gonna say that I just saw in the news that Jurgen Damm is gonna go to Atlanta United. So there we go.
Ooh.
But I honestly think that would be a one other question as well. The defensive line, are they going to be seeing what he saw in preseason about how vulnerable Fuenmayor and Minor Figueroa are with a high back line? Will he move them back a little bit to not leave a lot of space, or is he going to continue to do the same? Or is Marco Maric going to have to play the sweeper keeper kind of role to try to minimize that huge amount of space between the keeper and the center backs?
That's a good point, too. For Dynamo Theory, we've got a thing that we're working on. We're making season predictions, and we've got newcomer of the year. And I won't say who, but one person did say Marco Maric. And I think he's going to be pretty key, and understanding how that how he communicates with his line is going to be pretty important as well.
Yeah. Let's see. So I guess that's going to close that out for our Dynamo discussion and our Derek segment, and then Edson, we'll close up the show real quick, cover a few other topics. But Derek, as always, thank you so much for calling in. I look forward to actually seeing you in the box. I got my press passes, just won't be there this Saturday. But yeah, Derek, again, tell everybody where they can find you. Yeah.
Hey, thanks as always for having me on. You guys are amazing. It's too bad that I had to replace Josh today, but I think I did okay.
Okay.
You can find articles that I write and our team writes at DynamoTheory.com. You can find me on Twitter at dstowers410.
Cool. Thank you again, as always. We look forward to having you on again soon.
Sounds good. I'll be happy to come in or call in next time.
Or whenever. Thanks, bro.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep. All right. Later. All right. So yeah, great always as always, or it's great as always to have Derek on. Super knowledgeable. Definitely give him a read on Dynamo Theory. He breaks the games, the matches down pretty well. Goes into detail. You'll learn a little bit too about the sport itself. We do have CCL going on right now as we are recording. What is this, 8:00 on Tuesday? Atlanta United is up 1-0 against Motagua. They're up 2-1 on aggregate. So hopefully they get to move on. Cruz Azul will be taking on Portmore later tonight at 9. We got matches all week. Wednesday, if it wants to load, come on. We have NYCFC taking on San Carlos. They are currently up 5-3 on aggregate. They blew apart San Carlos last week. Montreal Saprissa. That game's going to be on at 7 on Wednesday. Tigres versus Alianza. Edson, I do want to ask you real quick. What do you make of this game? Does Tigres turn this around in the Champions League, or is it going to be more of the same? And it's just a really dark spot for Tigres right now. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. I think they're gonna I think Tigres is gonna manage to squeak by. I think they really underestimated Alianza, just like Monterrey did last season. And I really think that right now the locker room is in a really bad state right now with Tigres. You've got players that have just announced that they're leaving Jürgen Damm. You've got players that are not happy that they're not getting minutes, like Eduardo Vargas and others. And you've got players that really you look at their performance and you're like, how the hell are they starters like Aquino and Eder Valencia, who can't score a goal even if it means it saved his life. And then Gignac, because of this, he has to get out of his striker position to try to build the attack. So, this team right now isn't the dominant team of years before. And I think they're barely going to manage to squeak by. But I wouldn't put it past it that Salcedo is going to screw it up all over again and we get eliminated.
Then we also have America taking on Comunicaciones. What is that? 9:00 tomorrow, Wednesday, February 26th. Let's see. We've got a bunch of matches. We do have the LAFC Lyon match. That's Thursday, February 27th at 9. And then Lyon is up 2-0 on aggregate. I do look for LAFC to turn that around.
I doubt it.
I think they pile on the goals at home. Seattle Sounders will be taking on Olympia also on Thursday. And then then we have a full slate of games Saturday and Sunday. MLS starts. Guys, it's here. It's here. Get your tickets. We as the PO have made it a thing where we are posting every day from here until Saturday, or here until Friday. The game ticket link. Go get your tickets. Sell the place out. Go cheer on these guys. MLS is here, guys. What else do we got, Edson? Am I forgetting anything?
No, that's pretty much it.
Oh, I just gotta do our thing. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. Who do listen, whether you're listening on a podcast or listening or watching the YouTube show, give us a like, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the PO05. Also, anybody listening to the podcast or the video, we have a MLS fantasy league starting up. You have until Friday night to join the league. We will be giving away a gift card to the Dynamo team store. Winner also gets a trophy. The loser, the team with the worst record, is going to get a custom wooden spoon with your name on it for, sucking.
That's Vodka Junior's wooden spoon right there.
Me, Josh, Edson, we're all in it. We do have another person to join today. So definitely send us a DM on Twitter or send us a message on Facebook, or you can even message us at the Peel on YouTube. There's only 3 things I ask of you guys if you guys want to join the league: is like us everywhere, subscribe to our channel, like us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Again, feel free to join out. Doesn't cost anything to join. This is us giving back to you guys, for listening. That's going to do it for us. I thought actually the show was going to run a little longer, but we covered everything we got. Hopefully next Monday, we will be back on next Monday, our normal time, normal day. Hopefully we got a win to talk about, guys. So I'm Justin.
I'm Edson.
And for Josh, thank you guys. Forever Orange, guys.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
Later.